At its peak, the empire stood as a breathtaking symbol of unmatched wealth, overwhelming power, and cultural brilliance that inspired both deep admiration and silent fear across the known world. Its cities were decorated with gold, marble, and grand architecture that reflected not just success, but absolute dominance. Trade routes stretched across continents, bringing in unimaginable riches from distant lands. To outsiders, it looked like a perfect system, stable, powerful, and impossible to break. But beneath that beauty and success, something far more dangerous was quietly taking shape. Because empires rarely collapse from weakness alone, they collapse from excess they fail to control. This is the story of an empire that did not fall because it lacked strength or resources. It fell because it had too much and slowly lost control over everything it once built. Wealth turned into greed, comfort turned into weakness, and power turned into corruption. And step by step, the empire began to drown in everything it once proudly celebrated. This empire was none other than Roman Empire, one of the greatest and most influential civilizations in human history. For centuries, it expanded through discipline, strategy, and relentless ambition that pushed its boundaries further every year. Its armies conquered vast lands, bringing order, structure, and control to distant regions. Its leaders built systems that allowed it to manage enormous territories efficiently. Roads, laws, and governance made Rome not just powerful but highly organized. It was a system designed for long-term dominance and stability, and for a long time it truly seemed unstoppable. But success often brings comfort, and comfort slowly leads to carelessness. The discipline that once defined Rome began to fade quietly over time, and in its place something far more dangerous began to grow. Luxury became the new standard for the elite and ruling class. Wealth was no longer just a tool for growth, it became an identity and obsession. Massive feasts, grand palaces, and endless entertainment became symbols of status and power. Leaders began focusing more on pleasure than responsibility. And slowly, priorities shifted away from stability and long-term control. The system that once rewarded discipline now rewarded indulgence and excess. And that shift began weakening the empire from within. Because when leadership loses focus, the entire system starts to suffer. And Rome was slowly losing that focus. One decision at a time, almost unnoticed. Greed spread through the political system like a silent and unstoppable disease. Positions of power were no longer earned through merit, they were bought and sold. Corruption became common, normalized, and deeply rooted in the system. Officials used their power for personal gain instead of serving the people.